talking about how to stand out in a crowded market. So I will put this out to the panelists and I'll let whoever wants to go first. How do you help people remember who you are? Okay, go for it.
Well, I'm going to talk about my experience, and I'm going to say it very honestly. I had only 3 years doing this. Okay, so for me, this has been really a shift in what I did all my life because I was a corporate guy. Mm-hmm. So when I decided to begin to be more exposed in the media, have more visibility, I began to see how I could do it. And I found that one of the things is storytelling. Mm-hmm. Storytelling. When I decided to begin to tell my story and it began to impact people, I get more connections and I begin to get invited to attend talks as a guest and attending events, coming to places like this. And that begin to create connections. And when you do it in an honest way, because you're using your story, not because it's because you're trying to amplify your message to help others, so that people can learn from your experience. So that's where I begin to get the connections. When I begin to tell my story, not because of me, it was because I was trying to amplify the message that the people can connect with me. Today, I'm a faith-based guy, and I'm very honest on this. And that has also beginning to get more and more connection to people that vibes in the same symphony that I'm vibing. And this is the way I believe is an honest way to get connection. Telling your story. Yeah. Telling your story.
Cool. Awesome.
Right. And I do agree. My perspective is a tad bit different, only because I come from initially I have a boutique, so I used to be a celebrity stylist. So I am from the show up perspective, right? So when I walked in here, the first thing she noticed was my hat, right? So that I am visual. So I want you to recognize me. I want you to notice me the moment that I walk in the room. I always tell my clients, you want people to want to work with you. You want people to want to say, who is that person? When you walk, I get people to come to me and say, I want to be her friend, whenever I walk into a room. And that gets them to say, who are you? And then we can get into everything else, right? So whether it's my hat, it can be my clothes, it can be a second pair of earrings, men dressing nice. There's so many ways to visually attract somebody before you even open up your mouth. Then you've already set that standard, right? It's your standards that you're setting for them initially. That's how I get people to remember me immediately. Then I get into the being uniquely me. Being uniquely me is the storyteller. It's the who I am. It's the being the drill sergeant and all of those other things. So, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I agree with everything they just said. But for myself, in addition to those things, obviously I'm all about story. I said that when I introduced myself. I clearly believe in standing out. I have my hair be crazy and all of the weird things. I think that there's ways to stick in someone's mind. And one of the ways that I do that is I will, if I'm in a situation where I have a group, I will bring up some strange topic. For example, one of my favorites, if I'm in a group of people that, yeah, see, Marion already knows. If I'm in a group of people that don't know me, I will ask the question, do you think that the roll for the toilet paper should go to the outside, like away from the wall, or inside towards the wall? See, this is a very strange question. Most people would never ask, but I will. And you know what? You will always remember me as the girl who asked you which way the toilet paper should go. I also have green hair. My business cards are different than everyone else's. So when someone gets my business card, they always comment on my business card. These are things that make you stand out when you're in person. But even online, I will wear a hamster costume when I go to a virtual event, which is why I said that earlier. I also have a dinosaur costume and a chicken costume and all sorts of weird and crazy things. That works for me. That's my vibe, right? But even if that isn't your vibe, you have things about you that make you stand out. Like what Shauna was saying, right? So you can dress very nicely or be very put together. I am never going to be this. I love you for being this, but I will never be that. That's not my vibe. And I like to use the illustration of playing cards. So there everybody is a certain card. I personally am an ace of diamonds, in case you were wondering. And the cards that are like me are going to be the most drawn to me. So if I go out there being the ace of diamonds, the king of diamonds, the two of diamonds, all the other aces, those cards are going to automatically be magnetically drawn to me. The problem is a lot of us walk through life pretending that we're a joker, which is like a wild card. And so when no one knows who you are, and if no one knows who you are, they cannot connect with you. And so for me, what they were talking about, story, standing out, being like, this is who I am. Those are all things about making sure people know what card you are so that you can draw the right cards. Because frankly, I don't want to work with someone who is a 10 of clubs. You're not my person, and you don't want to work with me either. So why would I try to attract you? We're going to have more fun. We're going to have more of a positive experience if you're working with people who you want to work with and they actually want to work with you. And so I think it's all about standing out, displaying who you actually are as a person. And if you want to wear a hamster costume, by all means do it. And if you don't, then don't.
I love it.
Yep.
I love standing out in a crowd. I am not one that's going to be noticed as soon as I walk in the room. But when I get up and speak, you're going to notice me because I'm going to be crazy and I'll probably say something really stupid. But that's mainly on purpose because I like to make fun of myself.
But your people are going to notice you though. Like
Yes.
she said, like standing out. So you're standing out is you being uniquely you. Like she said about her being uniquely her. So like my standing out is different. So it's going to, so I attract the people that, like she said, is going to come to me, and it makes it easier in business because now I don't have to worry about people who cannot afford me. They'll follow me.
Yep,
But
100%.
they're not going to pull the trigger and say, oh, I'm ready to go and work with her right away because I already know this is her price point. This is that, like right away. They'll follow me until they can get to that point. But the same thing with you guys. Yeah.
But there are people that won't approach me. There are people that won't approach you.
Right.
I just said,
yeah.
But they would approach you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is about putting your brand out there. Your brand is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard, speaking of brands, you dress your brand every day. I never heard that before. So you are dressing and presenting yourself as your brand. I'm like, oh my God, what a brand am I advertising every day? You see me now? Okay. Casual. So let's see what's next. How do you showcase your personality in your content or branding?
Oh, this is for you.
Go ahead,
You
Shauna.
could go on down my timeline and see how I show up. But literally, I just said it. Like, this is me. Even when I am not dressed up, I look dressed up. When I have on tennis shoes, you're going to see. So it looks like I'm dressed up. It's not necessarily. I'm always, have something on, like where I have the best of the best on, but I look put together. I want people to know that I am a businesswoman. I want people to know that I am serious about, what I do. When I walk into a bank, and I actually did an experiment. I did a speaking engagement and I went in there and I dressed completely different than what people were used to seeing me like online. And nobody paid me any attention. Nobody spoke. Nobody, like it was, and we were it was a conference center. Nobody spoke. Nobody did anything. And I did that just to see like how they related to me just being just regular Shauna, not having on it. Even with having on a 2-piece jogging suit and having on my jewelry and doing all of that, they were not as prepared to be, to the way that they normally are if I was walking there with my heels and my hat and, my hair's usually done. That's why I did that one today. But they were not as approachable is what I'll say. They weren't prepared to approach me the way. And I didn't have my jewelry on and stuff that day. So it was like, okay, so this is what they're used to. Mm-hmm. They didn't recognize me. It was like, oh, that's just somebody who's just sitting in a crowd. So you have to not just dress the part, but they get used to that with your brand. And I think that it has helped me. I've been in business since '05. I have a lot of the same clients since '05.
Yeah. I would like to play off what you just said. So I think part of what you just said is you kind of have to be willing to continue to present yourself in the way that you present yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons, like I said earlier, I don't want to be all put together and beautiful, whatever, because then I have to be that all the time. All the time. And I don't want to do that. And so I go out of my way not to do that, specifically because I want to be drawing people in who don't have the energy for that. Like, I can't be on like that all the time. I just simply am not that person. See, people think I'm this super outgoing big person, and I am, but I'm also this very withdrawn, tired person who afterwards has to recuperate. And so I think that's exactly it. Who you present yourself online as is exactly who you need to be. Yeah. So the way that I do that is all of my posts have some very bright color, bright yellow, bright orange, bright green, bright blue. Everything is bright and bold and crazy. And so when they come in and I'm doing a presentation, whether it's in person or virtual, and I'm holding up weird signs and dressed as a hamster and doing all these things, that's what they expected because that's what they saw on my social media. I am perfectly willing to show up dressed as a hamster anywhere. I don't care. I will do it. The only reason I don't do it here is because it's too freaking hot and I would die. Okay? But so that is something that's in keeping with who I am and what I want to present. I tried for years and years and years to be professional. You know what that did? Yeah. It made me smaller because I couldn't really lean into that because that's not who I was. And as soon as I went, no, Elise, you don't have to use navy blue and black and white as your only colors. That was when people started to actually be more drawn to me because that's who I actually am.
And I think, and to your point, when people try to be what they're not, that's when their messaging gets mixed up.
Well, and people don't respond to it because you're not being true.
Yep. And you see that. I see that a lot with clients when they say that when I see them post the one thing and they're like, I'm having problems with sales. I can literally log on to somebody's social media and after talking to them and know why they're not making money because who they present themselves in my office and what I see online doesn't mesh. I know immediately. I'm like, okay, you have to be who you are. When you come to my office, you see the same thing. When you come hang out with me, you see the same thing. Whether I have on tennis shoes or heels, you're going to have the same vibe. When we go to eat, you're going to have the same vibe. Are there going to be days that I'm chill? Absolutely. You're still going to see some big earrings though.
And you have to be consistent and trustworthy, honest. People will know.
Yeah.
If you're not honest.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, inauthenticity is kind of transparent immediately. Yeah. You can kind of tell. Yeah. So, there is some questions from the audience.
Might be.
Would you like to ask a question?
I have a story, a real quick story.
Go for it.
You know, Elise teaches me I need to have stories, right? So we went to an event together. We went to an expo and we stood out like you would not believe. I don't normally stand out, but you know, but I'm fun. I'm a lot of fun. Okay. There's lots of laughter if I'm there. Okay. So we went. Here's this tall, bald man. Here's this 6-foot lady. And here's me. And, you know, we had a couple other people. And we would go to each booth. And we would show up as a team. As referral business builders team of business owners. Individual business owners. But we stood out. I believe we had more fun than anybody else there.
Well, and it's helpful. If I'm comfortable, I'm very outgoing and very big, but when I am not comfortable, which in an event like that, I am not comfortable. And so sometimes you have to find the things that make you feel more comfortable. And so going as a team and knowing that Marion is going to be the outgoing one and she's going to speak first and I don't have to figure out how to break the ice just made me able to be more of myself. So sometimes there are things in your personality that can hold you back, that you have to be able to address and do something about. And sometimes that means you need a partner. Sometimes that means that you just do it even if you're scared, right? But you have to find a way to overcome those things if you really want to be present and let people know who you really are.
Getting out your own way, absolutely. You have to get out your own way.
Any other questions or stories? No?
That's great.
To that end, we should tell them about November 5th. So November 5th, we're going to be going to the Houston Business Expo.
Yes.
And so we'll be doing the same thing. The three of us are going together and we'll be our wild, crazy selves. So if you decide to go, you should let us know. Respond on the video if you're watching us online. You can meet up with us and we can have a party at the expo.
Sure.
Let me put that in my book.
Lots of fun.
It's going to be a fun expo.
And it's on Eventbrite. You can get tickets on Eventbrite.
Okay.
And right now they're free, but I understand that they're going to start charging for them. So if you're wanting to go get your ticket quickly. Otherwise, you pay for it.
Okay.
Welcome.
Come on in.
And
Yeah.
have a seat.
Yeah. Just pull up a chair.
All right.
More.
So,
Well, whenever somebody's talking.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
I've been
sorry.
moving it for
Look at
you.
me. I'm sorry.
I've been moving it for you.
she loves to direct.
She show
I'm
up.
sorry.
She's like, it's my bag.
Sorry. No, I wasn't paying attention. I thought that.
All right, let's move on to the next question. What advice would you give someone afraid to take up space online?
So I would tell you to be, first of all, what are your strengths? A lot of people think that they don't have any at all. And I know I talk about like dressing and how you show up that way, but it's not just about just how you look, but you might have other strengths. It could be what you do, like say if you are great at network marketing or whatever it is, like show up in that way. Say if you're consistently doing something, I don't know, on social media, but focus on things like that, but be consistent in whatever it is that you're doing. I think a lot of times when we doubt ourselves, we don't do anything and you have to show up doing something. And we can't support you if we don't know that you exist. And we see a lot of small businesses that are saying, I need this, and we can't, there's no way for us to help you if you don't know that you're there. So I think that you just need to start and surround yourself with people who are going to push you to be the best version of yourself. One of the best things that I've ever done was have a squad of women, even with moving, was having a squad of women who not just pushed me, but also told me to, when I was not being the best version of myself, right? It was, Shauna, you can do this. Or Shauna, you know better than that. You know, you don't want those yes people. You want those people who are also going to hold you accountable. So that's huge. Having an amazing network. Like people think that when somebody tells me that they did it by themselves, they instantly get a side eye from me. You cannot be successful. I have reached levels of success, not by myself, but because I'm in rooms like this, but because I help. Like when somebody puts out something, let me help you. Let me jump in and do, and help another entrepreneur do something. Like there's no way that you can be in entrepreneurship and not reach back and not do something else. And I think that integrity goes a long way. Like I can go on about.
I know, right?
Let me say something because I believe that in this panel, the person that has less experience in this, I did my career without no social media. All my life, zero social media. 35 years, zero social media. When I came back, because I was a hostage, okay? So when I came back 3 years ago, I remember that I did an interview the first day I came back. And the person asked me, what do you want to do after coming back? And I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do. But I said, maybe I'm going to open a Twitter account. I'm going to begin to tweet about myself. And I did it. My Twitter account today, I have like 50,000 followers in Twitter. And I began to do it. And I had no clue how to do it, but I began to tell my story and begin to show up.
That's it.
And I began to show up and I began to do it and do it. And that's how I met Elisa, by the way. One day, I don't know, I found her doing her crazy videos. And I said, oh, I love what this lady is doing. And I began to follow her. And I began to do those stuff. And then today I have a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then I opened my Facebook and it began to grow up. And I opened my LinkedIn and it began to grow up. And today I have a podcast and I got a TV host. Okay? So I didn't have no experience. Never in my life I did nothing like this. But I decided to show up. I decided to show up. So everybody that's hearing this here, stand up, show up, and be yourself, and do whatever you want to. Tell whatever you think that is your expertise, because everybody has something to say. Everybody has something to say, and there's somebody outside there that wants to hear what you want to say. Yep. That's my.
So I'm going to jump on that. So the question is, what advice would you give someone afraid to take up space online? So for me, the shift is going from you at all. I don't think you should think about yourself at all. I think you should think about the people that you're trying to help, because if you're a person like me, you're in this to help somebody else. I don't know who that person is, but there's someone that you want to help. And I think when you're afraid to take up space, you focus on those people. And one way, very practical, I like doing practical things. So my practical advice to you would be, do Q&A style content. What questions do people ask about what you do or how you help? Present that question and answer it. Because now it's not about you. It's about how far can you get that video, that piece of content, that thing to go so that you can help as many people as possible. It's not about making sales. It's not about how you are. It's not about anything. But you know what makes you stand out more than anything? Helping people.
Yeah.
If you want to take up space online and you're afraid, I understand. People don't believe I understand, but I understand. You want to see how bad my videos were when I started, go to my YouTube channel, scroll all the way back. I don't delete them on purpose because I want people to understand it doesn't matter how bad you are at it. Do it, help people, make that be your number one goal, and you will help them. And eventually, if you help enough people, some of them will buy things from you. And so my advice is take the focus off of you altogether. You have to get stronger as yourself, but until you start having people tell you how much you helped them, it's really hard to do that, because the thing that stops you is your experience. And the thing that has put you wherever you are is also your experience. And if you've had bad experiences, those experiences will keep you from having good experiences. So the saying that everyone always says is progress, not perfection, right? Make progress every single day, move forward every single day, do things like go to the book club where you can start to be better as you, and then make your entire focus be about helping other people. And I think that you'll make progress.
You know what, piggybacking off of that, I think the more that you help people, you also get the confidence to continue to move forward. And you can start by, I tell my clients to always, if you just start with like putting a date to something, like I always tell my clients to put a date to whenever you're going to do a video, whenever you're going to post. And then if somebody responds, then put another date to something. And that gives them the confidence to keep going. And they're like, oh my goodness, such and such responded, or somebody asked me another question. And I'm like, okay, that now go back and answer that question again, but this time answer that question in video. And that gives them the courage to keep going. And then by that, and then come 30 days from now, they realize they've done like 10 or 15 videos, but they might have started out with like a tweet or, or something like that. So again, like put dates to things like.
And answer every question. If someone asks you a question, if one of your existing clients asks you a question, don't just answer them. Make a video about it, then give them the link to the video. That video can not only help that client, but every other person that has the same question.
And that goes with TikTok too. And enjoy this, and I love it. I do a little bit, like you'll see I dance on TikTok.
I do that.
I'm gonna have to go out and watch videos. I love it. But you know what? While you were talking, and my coach kind of taught me this: everybody's question or somebody's question is everybody's question. It may be in a little different form, but it's our question as well. So be open to hearing what somebody says when someone asks a question. Don't shut off, well, that's not my question. Because when you do, you're stopping yourself from learning. But if you're opening up, you're then open to learn something that you wasn't expecting.
Mhm.
And that is powerful.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I had another thought, is when you are helping somebody else, you're helping yourself.
Mhm.
If you're open to it.
Yeah.
Because when you're helping somebody else, you're going to say something that probably come out of the blue. And you're going to say, well, where'd that come from? But if you're open to it, that is something you needed, probably more than the other person.
Mhm.
So be open to learning. Be open to hearing a message come from anyone. You said you talked to anyone at the store. I may be standing in the store ready to check out, all the hubbub. But if you are paying attention, you can hear 3 rows down somebody say something, and it's a message you needed to hear.
Mhm.
I've had that happen more than I could even tell you.
Mhm.
It is powerful to be present anytime you're awake,
Mhm.
because when you're present, you're open to messages that come to you, and you're opening to give messages that someone needs to hear. I absolutely could go on with this subject all day long. We have another question.
We never make it through all the questions.
We never
ever.
do.
Mhm. And always look and record. Like I get content all the time.
Yes. And you know, I haven't put out as much content as you all, but I'm hearing more and more,
Everything is content.
it doesn't have to be perfect.
It doesn't have to be perfect. That's so
Just do it.
true.
Show up
Yeah.
is key. Again, what story do you tell that helped you stand out? Jose.
Well, I base all my brand through my story, how I overcame my adversity, how I decided to transform this in a tool to help others, how I acquired some techniques that I share in my coaching. I share when I'm speaking. I share when I'm teaching. So everything is because, and I'm a guy that discovered all my faith. So I try to share as much as possible, and everything is based on my story. So I use my story in a way that I can really help others that can be going through anything in their life. Because I always say, you don't have to have gone to a situation I went through, but you can be in any mental hostage situation in your life. Anything in your life can be uh, stuck in you back, and or maybe you're going through any terrible situation, a divorce, bankruptcy, or anything, an illness, anything can be going in your life. And I'm here to tell you that I went through a terrible situation in my life, but I could overcome it. So you can do it. You too. You can do it. You too. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Like, everything is here.
Yeah.
It's a matter of minds.
Your story reminds me of the story I heard of Nelson Mandela when he was sentenced to life in prison and spent many years in this prison, not seeing anyone but the guard, being fed by the guard. And then he gets out and becomes president of the country that imprisoned them.
And those guys became their bodyguard.
Yes. And people ask him, well, how did you do that? What happened in you that was able to not become bitter and hateful and just hating everyone? He found within himself the peace and the forgiveness. And that was his story. And he came out and was able to be president. That's your story kind of reminded me of that.
Well, I many times I've been asked how I made it, and why I didn't get bitter, and why I didn't get anger, and with a sense of revenge. And I said, I don't spend not a second thinking in that, because I decided to move on, and I decided that for some reason of God, I went through this situation that I'm now using to help others. So for me, I'm not saying that I'm happy what I went through, but I'm happy the lessons I learned. Yeah, along that. So I'm here to tell anybody that you can be going through any terrible situation in your life, but believe me, that something better is coming to your life. Mm-hmm. And you don't know it, but it's coming. But you have to believe it. Yeah. Yeah, you have to believe it.
Can I take that from the other side? So some people have really big stories. You being held captive, that's a really big story. Okay. I have a big story about my dad committing suicide, my husband cheated. I have big stories that I can tell too, but I want to take this down to the mundane. So a story that I tell people is about the dishes. Because some people, their response to I'm huge is, I'm loud and crazy, and they're not, is, well, I can't do what you did because I'm not loud and crazy. Or the response is, well, I wasn't held captive for 3 years. I don't have a powerful story. That's not true. One of the most impactful things in my life is the dishes. And the reason that was so impactful for me is because I literally spent 42 years letting them rule me. And this sounds insane, but I would hide from the kitchen so I didn't have to see the dishes in the sink. That I felt like I couldn't handle them for my entire life. And I would watch other people who would just do the dishes as if it was nothing, and I couldn't understand how they could possibly do it. And I just felt like a failure. And I let that my entire life be something that proved that I was a bad mom, a bad wife, a bad person. That I didn't even deserve to exist as a human being because I couldn't even take care of the dishes. And this is a very small, mundane thing, but sometimes those small, mundane things make big impacts on you. And this is a story that I've shared and that I'm writing a book on currently about the dishes. And the difference now is that I just decided that wasn't going to be how I was going to live my life anymore. Mm-hmm. And I just decided that it was no longer proof that I was terrible if I couldn't get the dishes done. And if the dishes were there, then the dishes were there. And that was all that meant. And that is a really powerful thing for people to understand, that you don't have to have something be the thing that defines who you are. Mm-hmm. You get to define who you are. You get to decide what is the thing that's going to say how you present yourself. So you know what? I encourage you. Mm-hmm. If you have dirty dishes in your sink, that's okay. If you don't dress perfect all the time, if you feel like you don't have the nicest voice or the prettiest hair, or you're not the skinniest or whatever, that's okay. I have had the nastiest comments on my weight. My favorite one I'll share with you is, she has more chins than China. I don't know why people have to be nasty. But you don't have to let those nasty things, whether it's your mom or your spouse or whoever it is, define you as being not good enough. And so I think those stories can really help you stand out, whether they're huge or whether they're small. Someone can relate to that story, and you will stand out to that person. I don't know a woman that I've ever met who can't relate to the problem with the dishes. Maybe it's not as big as mine, but we all are like, oh, I don't want to do the dishes. To some degree. And so I just want to encourage you, your story has power. Your story can help someone. And so I don't care if you have a big story or a little story. Tell the story that you have, and someone is going to connect with you.
Yeah.
So I want to say, so when it comes to stories, it depends on who I'm in front of. So you have audiences, right? So when I came in here and my story, because I come from a growth perspective, that I usually lead with former celebrity stylist. That's the fun side, right? Former celebrity stylist, had a boutique, and now I'm helping small business owners go from stuck to 6 figures. Most of them 7, right? That is what they hear that and they say, oh, let me go follow her, let me blah, blah, blah. However, if I'm standing in front of the YWCA or, somebody where they need more motivation, they might need to hear that I was a teen mom, that my whole family told me that I was not going to be anything, and now they are the ones who are asking me for blah, 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 right? Or I've also done speaking engagements where they might need to hear about my domestic violence, me being a survivor. But that ain't nothing that I'm sitting in, right? So I've had coaches tell me, oh, no, Sean, you got to sit now. Bet you I don't. Bet you I don't. That's the pain that you want me to sit in. Shauna healed from that. So that's not a story that I'm just going to sit there and tell. And there's a way for you to tell your story without it being pain. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's all about who you're in front of at that moment. And like she said, there's stories that you can tell. Everybody has something. I wholeheartedly understand that dish thing. Married for 11 years, and my husband will tell you, I'm doing a dish well. I will hire somebody real fast. Don't like doing dishes. However, like again, there's somebody that will resonate with what it is that you have to say. Just make sure that you are genuine in what it is that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing about this? So if you're trying to learn how to tell more stories, this is something that I would recommend. Again, practical advice. Write down everything that comes to you that's a story that's happened to you, whether it's happening currently or in the past. I literally have a document where I have all my favorite stories from my life. Most of them I have some way of connecting it into business and why it impacts me and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I keep this document as a running, living, breathing thing. And if I ever need help coming up with how to talk about something or what to do, or I have a certain audience and I'm in front of them trying to decide what stories to tell, I will give it to ChatGPT. Here's all my stories. This is what I'm doing. Tell me what would be the best way to present myself for this particular thing. And it'll help you, give you like an outline or at least an idea of where to go. And then you can compile that thing for yourself. So there are tools and there are practical ways to like use these things. If you're in a conversation with a friend and you're telling them about something that happened to you, guess what? That thing, whatever it is, no matter how big or small, you got caught in traffic, you whatever, put it on a list. And then the next time you need a story to tell, you're going to go to something, you're trying to have something to connect with people with, go look at your list. I guarantee you have something that you can be sharing.
Yeah. There's an angle for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's got a story. Whether you recognize it or not, everybody has a story. And like Elise said, write them down. Start writing them down. And at first you may be, well, that's not a story. Write it down. Because later you're going to remember more about it and you're going to expound on it. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a story. Everyone. Any more? Any questions or stories that y'all like to share?
So that's exactly the word, or that's the phrase that I was looking for when I kind of caught a blank up there. Storytelling. So that's, I guess it's the art of kind of like drawing people in. You know, you're kind of setting the stage and doing the framework. People can connect with you better when you have a story to tell versus, you know, I'm here today and we're trying to achieve X, Y, and Z. You know, this is what we're going to do. No, start with a story. This is, you know, the background or whatever. And yeah, I just love that you guys are kind of expanding on this because it resonates with me so well. So I'm really enjoying it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that.
I actually used to teach science, and the best way my students learn was through storytelling, right? How it happened. Sometimes they did happen to me, sometimes it didn't. But the best way that they learned is the story that I provided with the background on whatever it was, you know, that I was trying to teach them. Because it embodied them. And I think I became a better storyteller after teaching. Before that, I was like, you know what, this happened and that happened. And that's it. I don't have to go into the details. After teaching, it was like, okay, no, there has to be and so I have to relate this story so they can understand why the difference, densities of the thing. It was all that. And when I told them a story, sometimes it was funny because it just depends. I did middle school, elementary, and high school. I had to tell a different story at the different age levels, just like you guys were saying. Know the audience. I'm not going to go into something elaborate like I would have done in high school, middle school, to like my third graders or fifth graders. So I had to be put into that perspective. And that's where, when you guys were saying that, I was like, oh, okay. I came here with another thing, but you guys are right. Storytelling is a big thing. And that's how they're going to remember you. Because I might not remember how you look to a certain degree, but I remember what you said that resonated with me.
And read the room. And read the room. Yeah, and read the room. Like I've gone into rooms and honestly, I don't always dress within it. Like I don't like suits. I'm not gonna lie. My stuff is always different when I walk in the room, and I walked in rooms and they're like, oh, here come this girl dressed like, I walked into corporate rooms. I walked into rooms where I used to work for a bank, major bank. I was a manager, got fired. And here they are calling me back to facilitate. And I walked in there dressed exactly the way that they didn't want me to dress years ago. And I walked, and it was so like tight. And I'm like, let me go in here and talk about how late I was coming to, then traffic. So I read the room, told the story, and everybody was laughing. And then I just went right into my presentation. So storytelling can come from so many different aspects, but definitely read the room, have fun with it. It doesn't always have to be from me anyway, I will say this. That operating from a space of pain, know who's in the room, again, when it comes to your audience, because you don't want to trigger people all the time. Know your audience. Huge on knowing who your audience is, because you don't want to open people up and now you got people crying in the corner, and that might not necessarily be the space for that. So definitely know who's in the room.
I would like to say one more thing. I'm sorry. Practical advice. Don't just write down your story. Tell it out loud over and over and over and over again, because the more comfortable you are with your story, the more likely you will be to use it when it has an appropriate space.
Mm-hmm. And do it in front of a mirror or on camera. Because when you can watch yourself and get used to yourself, you're now going to open up and be able to tell your story even better. I'm learning that one by practice. Guys, thank you all so much. I have learned so much from you all. This discussion, we could go on all day.
Okay.
But we have to wrap it up. It's like 5 till 9.
It's only 9.
I know, right? That's early, right? Yeah, we're just getting started.
Still have your whole day. You can still do all sorts of
But thank you all for joining us online. If you want to be here, we are here every fourth Tuesday of the month.
Well, it depends on November is
around holiday months.
Yeah.
Check the website.
So the next one will actually be the 3rd November and then the 3rd December. And then the rest of the months we'll do the 4th.
Yeah. So come be with us. Thank you all for being on the panel.
Thank
it
you.
has been such a wonderful experience. Thank you for letting me come.
Thank you.
I love
it.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And let's see, what do we got?
The last thing is just, there's just more questions, and then there's a slide to remind you to join Referral Business Builders. So if you'd like to join us online, we do every Thursday evening. We have events. We have events other times as well. $10 a month. There's the QR code to join. You can also come and be a guest for free 1 month. So if you'd like to check it out, you can check it out there. And for those of you who are here in person, we can go out into the hallway there. There's some little couches if you wanted to sit and connect and talk some more. You're welcome to do so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
That was good. And we still live.
I think we're done.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
I am sorry I was here late. The traffic
okay.
on
And what's your
59
name?